I was unpacking his suitcase when I found a ring, too small for me. Daniel came back from his trip late at night. Said he was tired, had a headache, would tell me everything tomorrow. I didn't touch the suitcase until morning. When I opened the side pocket, instead of a charger, a small black box fell into my hand. Inside, a thin white gold wedding band. Not mine. I tried it on. On my ring finger, it didn't even make it halfway down. My size is 7.5. This was a 5. Maybe 5.5. Under the lid was the logo of a jewelry store on Northwest Street. I knew this store. My coworker and I once picked earrings there during a sale. Next to the ring, a receipt. Date: last Friday, 6:42 p.m. Paid with his card. A small paper slip inside the box. Resize within 30 days. Free. First thought, maybe it's a surprise for me, not resized yet. Second, he simply knows someone else's size. I placed the box on the table, waited. He came out of the shower, towel drying his hair, saw it, and his face shifted, barely noticeable. Then he smiled. "It's for a client shoot," he said. "A prop." "A prop with a hotel receipt for 2. I tried to sound calm. He shrugged. "Team off-site." I opened the ring box again. On the inside of the band, engraving, H+M, always. Not our initials. He explained. "It's a sample. They showed us the font." I didn't reply. Just took photos of the box, the receipt, and the engraving. When I was putting his shirts in the laundry, a business card fell out of his jacket pocket. On it, handwritten, "Harper, call me if he ghosts." "Who's Harper?" I asked. "Actress from casting. Took my number for scheduling." The phone rang. Unknown number. "Hi, this is Harper. If this is Olia, I'm sorry. I think you have my ring." I read it out loud. He dropped his gaze. And that's when I realized this story wasn't about the little black box. It started the moment he decided someone else's size could be his. I stared at the message until the letters blurred. "I think you have my ring." I typed back, "Why would I have it?" 3 dots appeared. "Because I left it in his bag last weekend. He said he'd return it." Last weekend, Daniel was supposed to be in Denver for work. I asked, "How do you know my name?" She replied instantly, "Found your business card in his glove compartment. Dentist appointment." Sorry, I didn't know he had a girlfriend until Monday. My stomach dropped. My card was in the car because I'd been searching for loose change in the glove box 2 weeks ago. I wrote, "Are you sleeping with him?" She answered, "Not anymore." Then, "Look, I don't want drama. I just want my ring back." The photo came next. Daniel, in his gray jacket, his hand resting low on the back of a woman in a coffee shop. The ring, that tiny white gold band, gleamed on her finger. The caption, "This was Sunday." I didn't reply. My hands were shaking. When Daniel got home that evening, he was humming. He kissed me on the cheek, walked to the kitchen, opened a beer. I was still standing by the table with my phone in my hand. "Who's Harper?" I asked. He froze for half a second, then smiled. "Someone from a project." "Someone who wears rings you buy?" His jaw tightened. "It's complicated." Then, uncomplicated. He didn't answer right away. Just drank half the beer. Then, "We hooked up a few times. It's over." I laughed. That dry, ugly laugh you don't recognize as your own. "Over? You were with her last Sunday." His eyes darted to my phone. "She's lying." I pulled up the picture, laid the phone on the counter. "She's not." He exhaled sharply, turned away. "I don't want to fight." "You don't get to decide that anymore." Silence. That night, I slept in the guest room. He didn't come in. Around 2 a.m., I heard him leave. The sound of his car pulling out was like a door slamming inside my chest. In the morning, there was a note on the kitchen table. "We'll talk tonight. Please don't text her." But by then, I'd already agreed to meet Harper. She suggested a diner halfway between our places. When I walked in, she was already there. Long auburn hair, tired eyes, stirring coffee she didn't seem to want. She looked at me for a long time before speaking. "I didn't know about you. If I had—" "You wouldn't have cared?" I interrupted. She flinched, shook her head. "No, I've been the other woman before." I promised myself never again. She reached into her bag, pulled out the ring box. "I just want to close this chapter." But then she added, almost as an afterthought, "You should know, I'm not the only one." The words hung in the air between us. "I'm not the only one." I stared at Harper, trying to read her face. She didn't look smug. She looked sorry. "What do you mean?" I finally asked. She exhaled, glanced toward the window. "There's someone else. Maybe more than one. I only know about one for sure." My heart was thudding in my ears. "Who?" "Her name's Sabrina. I followed him once after he canceled on me for the third Friday in a row. Said he had therapy. Instead, he drove to this blue house on Brookline. A woman answered the door, and a little girl ran out to him yelling, 'Daddy!' The diner felt suddenly too small, too bright. I gripped my coffee cup just to keep my hands from shaking. Harper leaned in. "I'm telling you because you should decide if you want to waste another second on him." I swallowed hard. "And you?" She gave a humorless laugh. "I wasted enough." We finished our coffee in silence. Outside, she handed me a slip of paper with the address. "I'm sorry." I drove home on autopilot. The address sat in my bag like a live wire. That night, Daniel came home late again. Claimed traffic. I didn't mention Harper. I didn't mention the blue house. Instead, I waited. Tuesday. He left at 6:30 p.m. Said he'd be back by 9. I followed at a distance, headlights off when I could. My hands were sweating against the steering wheel. And there it was. The blue house. White trim, a little swing on the porch, chalk drawings on the walkway. He pulled into the driveway, walked to the door. A woman with dark hair and a dish towel over her shoulder opened it, smiling like she'd been waiting for him all day. The little girl, maybe 4, maybe 5, ran into his arms. He lifted her, kissed her hair. She laughed high and bright like this was her favorite moment. They went inside. The porch light clicked on. I sat there for over an hour, telling myself there could be an explanation. Maybe she was his niece. Maybe he was mentoring someone. Anything. At 8:12, he came out with the woman. He kissed her forehead. She touched his cheek, the way you touch someone who belongs to you. I drove home before him, parked, sat in the dark kitchen until his car pulled in. When he walked in, he smelled faintly of vanilla and wood smoke. "Who's she?" I asked. He froze. Then, "Sabrina and Lily, my daughter." My breath caught. "You have a daughter?" "I was going to tell you, just not yet." "How many Tuesdays would that have taken?" I whispered. He didn't answer. That night, I packed a bag. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the edge of the guest bed, staring at the half-zipped duffel. Every time I thought about leaving, I saw Lily's face. How easily she called him Daddy. By morning, Daniel acted like nothing had happened. He brewed coffee, slid my mug toward me. "We should talk," he said. "Yes, we should," I replied, my voice flat. He started with the "I didn't mean to hurt you" speech. I cut him off. "How long have you been lying to me?" He rubbed his jaw, avoiding my eyes. "I met Sabrina 6 years ago. We weren't serious. Then she got pregnant. We tried to make it work. It didn't." "And you just forgot to mention her?" He shook his head. "I pay child support. I see Lily on Tuesdays. It's private." Private or secret? Silence. Does Harper know about Lily? I asked. His eyes narrowed. Harper, you talked to her? I let the question hang. He sighed. She's nothing. She has a ring you bought. Engraved. He frowned. It wasn't for her. Then who was it for? He didn't answer. Just ran a hand through his hair and muttered, You're twisting everything. That was the moment I realized. Daniel didn't have one truth. He had versions. One for Sabrina, one for Harper, one for me. I left the coffee untouched, grabbed my keys, and walked out. I drove aimlessly for hours, ending up in front of the blue house again. It was mid-afternoon. Lily's drawings were still on the walkway. A sun, a crooked heart, a stick figure family. Sabrina stepped out with a laundry basket. She spotted me instantly. Our eyes locked. She set the basket down and walked over to the fence. Can I help you? I'm Olivia, I said. A flicker of recognition. He told me about you. I froze. What did he say? That you were a friend from work. My laugh was bitter. Friend? Right. She tilted her head. He lies to you too, huh? The two hit me like a punch. What has he told you? She glanced back at the house, lowered her voice. That Harper is just some fling. That you were never serious. That I'm the only one who matters. My hands went cold. Sabrina's eyes softened. He's good at making you feel like the only one, until you're not. For a moment, I thought she might cry. Instead, she straightened her shoulders. If you're smart, you'll leave now. I wanted to tell her she should leave too. But before I could speak, Lily's voice called from inside. Sabrina turned away, picked up the laundry basket, and walked back in without another word. I stood there, gripping the fence, knowing I wasn't ready to walk away, but also knowing I couldn't stay. That night, I didn't confront Daniel. I didn't tell him I'd spoken to Sabrina. I let him believe I was quiet because I was tired. But in my head, something had shifted. I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was calculating. I needed proof. More than a ring, more than a receipt. I needed something undeniable. The next morning, while he showered, I took his laptop from the desk. No password change. A mistake he'd regret. Emails. Messages. A folder named Projects that was anything but. Photos of Lily. Okay, that I could forgive. But then, photos of Harper in hotel rooms. Pictures of Sabrina on vacations I was told were, quote, corporate retreats. Dates overlapped. And there was another name, Maya. A string of messages about missing her laugh and can't wait for next weekend. The most recent sent just 3 days ago. 4 women. 4 versions. I copied everything to a flash drive, slid it into my bag. In the evening, I told Daniel I had errands. Instead, I met Harper again. I showed her the photos and messages. Her face went pale. So it wasn't just me, she said quietly. No. And Sabrina thinks she's the only one who matters. We sat in silence for a while, sipping coffee like 2 strangers linked by the same wound. Harper looked at me. What are you going to do? I shook my head. Not sure yet. But I'm not letting him walk away clean. The next day, I drove to the blue house again. This time, I waited until Sabrina came out alone. She looked wary when she saw me, but didn't turn away. I handed her a manila envelope. Inside, printed screenshots. Dates, names, pictures. She flipped through them, her expression hardening with every page. He told me you didn't matter, she said flatly. That I was the only one. He told Harper the same thing. And Maya. The name made her look up. Maya? You don't know her, but she knows him. Sabrina closed the envelope. Lily deserves better. I nodded. So do you. That night, Daniel came home early, smiling like nothing in the world could touch him. I had dinner on the table, wine poured. I let him talk, laugh, touch my hand, and I looked at him like I always had, the man I thought I knew. Inside, I was counting down. 3 days until Harper would send him the letter. 4 days until Sabrina would call the lawyer. 5 days until Maya would get the photos I'd prepared. I didn't know what would be left of him after that, but I knew one thing. For once, I'd be the one controlling the version of the story. It started with the silence. Daniel was used to being answered instantly, whether it was a call, a text, a question across the kitchen. But now, people weren't answering him. On Tuesday morning, I watched him stare at his phone for 10 straight minutes, his jaw tight. "Everything okay?" I asked casually. "Just work stuff," he muttered, but the way his eyes kept flicking to the screen told me otherwise. That afternoon, Harper texted me. "Sent the letter, recorded delivery. He should have it today." By evening, Daniel was pacing in the living room, phone in hand. He called someone. I couldn't hear the words, but his tone was sharp, desperate. "Who was that?" I asked. "Wrong number," he said too quickly. The next morning, Sabrina called him while he was in the shower. I watched the name light up on his phone, my stomach tight but my face calm. When he came out, I said, "Sabrina called." He froze, towel halfway to his hair. "Did you answer?" "No." "Should I have?" He shook his head, mumbled something, and disappeared into the bedroom. By Thursday, the cracks were obvious. He was snapping at me over nothing. His work dinners were suddenly canceled. He spent hours locked in his office, door shut, blinds drawn. That night, Harper sent another message. He called me 10 times. I blocked him. Sabrina messaged too. "Meeting the lawyer tomorrow. Thanks for the push." Maya's reply came last. "Got the photos. I'm done with him." I didn't reply to any of them. I just sat in the kitchen, listening to Daniel moving around upstairs, his footsteps uneven, restless. Friday evening, I set the table for 2, cooked his favorite meal, poured wine. He walked in looking exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, shirt wrinkled. "You okay?" I asked. He dropped into a chair, rubbed his temples. "Everyone's acting weird. Harper's ignoring me. Sabrina's cold. And Maya." He stopped, realizing too late he'd said her name. "And Maya?" I pressed. He shook his head, wouldn't meet my eyes. "Forget it." I smiled. "You're losing your versions, Daniel." His head snapped up. "What?" "Your versions, the little stories you told each of us, they're falling apart." He stared at me like he was trying to decide if I was bluffing, but deep down, I think he knew. That night, he didn't sleep. I heard him pacing until nearly dawn. My plan was working, but there was still one thing left to do, the part that would end this for good. And it would happen on Tuesday. The same day he thought he could keep just for her. Tuesday used to be his secret day. The day he slipped out at 6:30 p.m., kissed me on the cheek, and went to therapy. The day Sabrina set an extra plate at her kitchen table. The day Lily's laughter spilled out of that blue house like music he thought only he could hear. But this Tuesday was mine. It started with a text from Harper at noon. "I'm ready. Sabrina at 1:17. See you tonight." And Maya at 3:02. "I want to be there too." I parked across from the blue house just before sunset. Harper arrived first, leaning against her car, arms crossed, hair catching the fading light. Sabrina stepped out onto the porch, not smiling, not frowning, just watching. Maya's car pulled up last, her expression unreadable. For a moment, none of us spoke. We didn't have to. At 6:58, Daniel's car turned onto the street. He slowed, probably noticing Harper's red jacket, Maya's dark curls, my own figure by the fence. His expression, confusion first, then realization, then something that almost looked like fear. He parked halfway up the driveway, got out slowly. "What's going on?" Harper held up her phone. "We compared notes." Maya stepped forward. "You told me you were divorced." Sabrina's voice cut through the cool air. "You told me you loved me, that I was the only one." I took a step closer, my voice calm but sharp. "You told me we had a future, that Harper was no one, that Maya was just a friend, that Lily was the only part of your life you were proud of." He glanced at each of us like he was searching for the version of himself that might still work, but there was nothing left to use. Lily's small voice called from inside. "Daddy?" Sabrina turned, blocking the doorway. "Not now, sweetie." Daniel's shoulders slumped. "You can't do this here." "No, Daniel," I said. "You can't do this anymore." Harper handed him an envelope. The letter she'd written, the one that laid out everything, every date, every lie. Maya dropped a small box at his feet, the watch he'd given her, still in perfect condition. Sabrina didn't hand him anything. She just said, "The lawyer will be in touch." He looked at me last. "Olivia, please?" I shook my head. "You built this. You just didn't think we'd all show up at the same time to watch it fall." The porch light flicked on, casting his shadow long and thin across the driveway. For a second, he looked smaller than I'd ever seen him. We left one by one. No screaming, no drama. Just the quiet destruction of a man who thought he could live in 4 different worlds forever. The next morning, he called. 3 times. I didn't answer. By noon, my phone buzzed with a voicemail, his voice low, almost breaking. "Olivia, please, can we talk? I just need to explain." I didn't need explanations. I had proof. And I had Tuesday burned into my memory. Harper messaged me later. "He showed up at my place, knocked for 20 minutes. I didn't open." Maya, too. "He called me from a blocked number. I told him never to speak to me again." And Sabrina, she didn't say much, just sent a photo of a legal document, the custody agreement she'd filed to revise. By Thursday, word had started to spread beyond us. His boss called me, not because she knew about me, but because she'd heard about them. Apparently, Daniel's business trips had included more than just women, missing invoices, questionable expenses, the kind of mistakes you make when you think no one's watching. By Friday, he was suspended, pending review. They called it. I called it karma. That night, I saw his car in my driveway. He didn't knock right away, just sat there, headlights off. Finally, he got out, walked up to the door, and stood there like he didn't know whether to run or beg. I opened it. I didn't smile. "What do you want?" He looked wrecked. Hair uncombed, eyes bloodshot, shirt wrinkled like he'd slept in it. "You were the one I actually cared about." I almost laughed. Almost. Don't. Don't stand there and rewrite history. "Olivia, I'm losing everything." "No, Daniel, you're realizing what you already lost." He stepped closer, like he thought proximity might change my mind. "We can fix this. We never existed. You had 4 versions of yourself, and I just happened to believe mine was the real one." His jaw tightened. "I made mistakes." Mistakes are forgetting an anniversary. You built an entire life out of lies. For a second, I saw the anger in him, the flash of the man who didn't like losing control. But then it was gone, replaced by something smaller. Desperation. "Just don't shut me out completely," he said. "Please." I didn't answer. I closed the door, turned the lock, and stood there, listening to his footsteps retreat down the driveway. The silence after he left felt different. Not empty, not lonely. It felt like space, space I could finally breathe in. But I knew him. He wasn't done yet. He'd try again. And the next time, he might not come alone. It was raining the night he came back. Not the quiet kind of rain, the kind that pounds against the windows, makes the air heavy, restless. I heard his car before I saw it, headlights sweeping across the living room wall, then the knock, hard, urgent. I opened the door just far enough to see him. Soaked through, hair plastered to his forehead, eyes wild. "Olivia, please, just hear me out. You shouldn't be here." He stepped forward, one foot on the threshold. "I'm losing my daughter, my job, my home. You're the only one who ever." "Don't." I could feel my heartbeat in my throat, not from love, from the memory of every lie. "I'll do anything," he said. "Therapy, full honesty, whatever it takes." "Daniel, I don't want to fix you." That stopped him for a moment. He blinked, confused. "But we had something real." "No, I was real. You were performing." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small box. Not the ring. I already knew where that ended up. This was a bracelet. Thin silver, a charm shaped like a key. "I bought this for you before." "Before you got caught?" His jaw clenched. "Before everything went wrong." "Everything went wrong the moment you decided to live 4 lives at once." The rain was coming in sideways now, dampening the entryway. I stepped back, putting space between us. "You're making a mistake, Olivia." I already made mine. For 2 years. He stared at me, like he was trying to find the right combination of words to unlock the door between us. But there wasn't one. A car pulled up behind Sabrina's. She stepped out, umbrella in hand, eyes narrowing at the sight of him here. "You need to go," she said to him. Her voice was calm, steady. "This isn't your house," he snapped. "No, but I'm the one who still has to let you see your daughter. If you want that to continue, leave, now." He looked between us. The woman he'd lied to. The woman he'd built a secret family with. For the first time, he seemed to realize he wasn't in control of either. He stepped back, the rain swallowing him as he walked to his car. He didn't look back when he drove away. Sabrina watched him go, then turned to me. "He's not going to stop." I nodded. "I know." But as her taillights disappeared into the storm, I also knew something else. The next time he came back, I'd be ready to end it for good. It was 2 weeks before he tried again. A text this time. "I'm outside, please." I looked through the blinds. His car sat at the curb, engine idling. No rain tonight, no excuses. I didn't reply. A minute later, the knock came, steady, not desperate, almost resigned. I opened the door just far enough to speak. "What do you want, Daniel?" "To tell you the truth, the whole truth." I almost laughed. "That offer expired a long time ago." He ran a hand over his face. "Olivia, I've lost everything. My job's gone. Sabrina won't answer my calls. Harper blocked me. Maya, she's in another state. Actions have consequences." "I know, and I hate who I've been. I don't know who I am without all of you." "Then maybe it's time you find out, alone." He took a step forward, eyes searching mine. "I loved you." "No, you loved the version of me that let you keep the other versions of yourself." His shoulders dropped. For the first time I saw it. The understanding. Not just that it was over, but that there was nothing left for him to try. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small envelope. "These are the last things I had of yours." Inside, a photo of us from the first month we were together, my handwriting on the back, "For the future." And a key to his apartment. I held them for a moment, then stepped outside. "Keep the photo, burn it. I don't care." But the key, you won't need it anymore. I placed it in his hand, closed his fingers around it, and stepped back. Daniel looked at me like he wanted to say something else, but no words came. He just nodded once, turned, and walked to his car. This time he did look back, but only for a second. Then he was gone. I stood in the doorway, feeling the quiet settle around me. Not the tense quiet of waiting for the next lie, the kind that feels like peace. I made tea, curled up on the couch, and let myself breathe. For the first time in 2 years, there was no weight in my chest, no wondering, no second-guessing. My phone buzzed. A message from Harper. We made it out. I smiled, typed back one word. Finally. Outside, the night was still, my life was mine again. And whatever came next, it would be built on truth. The versions were over.